If there's not any other questions, we'll go right to scholarships. I think this is a discussion I was going to put off till another time, but I don't think I can do that given the questions I had last week. By the way, I want to say before I go to scholarships, Quinn, could you remind me to, before the next part, to go to the website? I'm going to show them the website, show them the travel we have coming up.
Yeah.
We have a section on our website that always has scholarships. And anytime I hear about a scholarship, I just post it there. I don't bother to email you. But so I really should mention that more. You need to go to our scholarship site. We're adding a bunch of scholarships next week that we've heard about directly, were informed to us. We'll be putting those up middle and late next week. I gave to my webmaster. I want to do something a little different this year in regard to those, but they're going up. So you want to go to our website. That will be helpful. But let me just go over scholarships in general with you right now. I think we'll have some really good information here that will help you, okay? And again, I'm going to cut through all of the myths about scholarships, and there's things people say about scholarships, and I cringe, every time I hear it. Here we go. Let's talk about third-party scholarships, meaning not a scholarship from the school. We'll talk about those in a minute, but a scholarship from a organization other than the school, other than somebody in your family, whatever. This is free money given by organizations. Usually it's directly to the college to cover the college costs, okay? The screens. Can everybody see my presentation? Somebody yell at me?
Yes.
Okay, good. It looks so clean, I can't believe it. All right, okay. Oh, that's right, I took my controls out. So it's free money, but you'll see in a moment, it's not really money. It's money, it is free money given directly to the school on your behalf. Colleges require that the financial aid office be notified if a scholarship is given to the student. So if someone gives you a scholarship, and they say it's a scholarship, in most states, it's considered a scholarship then it has to go to the financial aid office. So a lot of financial aid offices want to be informed. But usually the check is written out to the college. They'll ask you to tell you the college they go to, so they can then write the check to the college. They'll let you know when they've sent it. Nearly always, colleges first apply the scholarship to student direct loans and lower your loans. So you really don't see that. You just see the loans lower. Remember, every college will offer first-year students $5,500 in student direct loans. And there really is not an easy way to get out of it. Theoretically, there is to get out of the loans, but you'll see, and we've talked about it, they'll just charge you $5,500 more on your bill, right? California private colleges, after the loans, scholarships are applied to lower what's called the Cal Grant before going to the student. Magically, there is nothing left for the student then, smiles. California state law requires private schools to do that, to lower the grants that they're giving the students. Okay, so there you go. That's how they go. But I'm gonna keep going on this. There's a lot more about scholarships need to tell you. Again, if you have a question, throw it in the chat. I'm sure my eagle eye assistants will see it. Or if you want to just raise your hand, I'll see that. Or if you just want to say, excuse me, Deacon, and talk to me, you can do that also. Third-party scholarships, we said, is free money by a few nonprofit students. Now, here we go. Oh, these are sponsorships. Here we go with sponsorships, guys. Third-party sponsorships are when there's free money given by a few nonprofit organizations like us directly to the student for indirect costs. The student, so if they say something's a scholarship, then they give you a check. In some states, like California, it's not a scholarship, it's a sponsorship. A student is not required to report sponsorships to colleges. I should stop here and say, that's something you can ask your scholarship. If they award you a scholarship, could you just send it to me? And they might say yes, but usually they're very dogmatic and only want to send it to the school. The student is not required to report sponsorships to colleges after the financial aid award. Why is that? Well, it's like a bunch of people. Let's say the 14, 15, 20 of us get together and say, we want to give that student some money. This is called a free country. We can do that. And we may have some rules to make it in a specific, organized manner. So it looks like a scholarship, right? But really it's a sponsorship. A lot of times schools will give checks directly to students. Those are really sponsorships in the state of California. They're not really scholarships. They don't have to be reported. It's like a gift. It's often accidentally and mistakenly called a scholarship because it does act and feel like a scholarship. And even the people might be calling it a scholarship. But the minute they decide they'll write the check to the student, it normally, just about always, becomes what's called a sponsorship. Hope that helps. That's why up top I put quote scholarship types, right? Now, West Angeles, we have a sponsorship fund. We have one for church members. So I see a couple of church members that are in there. For example, I'm gonna put on blast a couple of them. For example, I see that Sister, see who's out there. I think Sister Flournoy is here. Oh, yeah, she's here. So Sister Flournoy's daughter, she's eligible for a West Angeles sponsorship. She'd have a chance, and she should go for that. We give a little more money to our own church members. However, we also give scholarships, sponsorships for active people who are active in our program and have high GPA. So you want to come to these sessions to be eligible for those. Our regularly attending non-church members can get what's called a Gwen Thomas sponsorship because she specifically gave money in her sponsorship for students that were not members of our church. She also gave money to our members of the church scholarship program as well. Okay, so if you're active in our program, you have a 3.2 or 3, I think it is, or above, you still can get a scholarship from us later in the year, like after we've gone through these training sessions. We want to be sure students have learned how to be on campus, how to stay on campus, because 84% of our students who come to these sessions and continue to come throughout the spring, 84% of them actually finished college in 3 years or less. Boy, I have more to say about that in just a moment, in a little while. Okay. More types. You have institutional need-based grants. Okay, now we get into need-based grants. You have financial need. It's free money given by colleges to themselves. They give it to themselves to lower the direct cost. The dollars don't really change hands. They just go in and lower the cost of the college because of your financial need. And they tell you it's a scholarship and it's money, but you never really see it, right? Each year in college, financial need is reassessed from the FAFSA, and need-based grants will either go up or they'll go down. So every year they're going to reassess this type of a grant or a scholarship, if you will. For CSU and UC, need-based grants are the Cal Grant, University Grants, and Pell Grants for incomes of less than $48,000 or so with 3 family members. Generally, I like to tell people if you're below $45,000 in CSU, you'll see it later, you pretty much are covered for college. That actually comes up a little later when we're talking about examples of financial aid awards. Some private colleges and universities also award need-based grants. Some do. HBCUs like Howard do not do need-based grants. They only do merit awards. So that's true with all HBCUs. None of the HBCUs do need-based grants. So you could have a student that has a lot of financial need and would go free to CSU, would pay $15,000, $20,000, or $30,000 to a private school and certainly to an HBCU they would owe. PWIs, which are predominantly white institutions, do award Pell Grants. HBCU and PWIs do award Pell Grants. And the maximum this year is $6,495. I had to update that number. They just passed that in the last bill that passed. They went up to just under 6,500. They were going to be 6,300, 6,200 this year. College merit scholarships, institutional academic merit-based grants, free money again, they give to themselves. So really, if the school gives you a merit award for your GPA and or your SAT, say they do that, they're really just lowering the cost of the school based on your performance in high school. They're lowering your direct college costs. Dollars do not really change hands, as you might see there. Not directly anyway. I suppose you could overpay, but that's because of something else that happens usually. They always make sure they don't give you so much that you overpay. They control that. Some colleges' scholarships, i.e. the Western public colleges, SPU and Grand Canyon, are easier to get than from other colleges. Like at Boise State, if you're 3.2 and you're in our program, they have a special scholarship where you'll pay way less than the CSU for college. And that's something that we have in our relations. Same thing with Seattle Pacific and Grand Canyon, same way. They do it on their own, Grand Canyon, whereas SBU, we have a memorandum of understanding. It's easier. We've been talking about those schools very often during this period. The hardest to get are private colleges. I should probably stop here. I hope you've looked at my videos I set out during the holidays. I set out a video about private college costs. I knew I wouldn't have time to cover it here. I knew I would come to this slide. I sure encourage you to look at that video. When Quinn reminds me, I'm going to show you how to get to my videos and how to see that video. I did send it out, but I see we had a nice open rate on that one. It was 50 or 60%, but many of you may not have seen that. There's a really good video where you can learn about what to do about private college costs. And I talk about those schools that are very affordable. It's still not too late to apply to those schools, yes. The hardest to get merit awards are private colleges, including HBCUs and UCs. Those are just require higher GPAs and they're harder to get, okay? Okay. Let's talk about more about merit grants. Sometimes guidance for academic awards are on the website. The schools will be very open if you're above this GPA or that GPA, although the trend after COVID is away from that. I've not really seen that much at all lately, but sometimes it's there. They'll tell you how to figure it out, but usually it's subjective based on a pool of candidates in a given application year. So in a given year, they may give awards for different criteria. In other words, they wait and see what students get in, then they rank them, and they make a determination that way, okay? The Western Undergraduate Exchange Scholarships are free money given by certain Western public. Notice I said certain. Arizona State has no motivation to give you a Western Undergraduate Scholarship because they get plenty of Los Angeles students that are willing to take that debt. So Arizona State, Oregon State, I've been telling you guys this, Nevada, Las Vegas, Washington State, schools like that don't really take the Western Undergraduate Scholarship. But schools like Nevada, Reno, Boise State, the Colorado State schools, Montana State, I'm just doing it, New Mexico State, they all take the Western Undergraduate Exchange, and they're very sizable scholarships, because they want to get students from out of state and they're willing to pay for it. But you have to have a decent GPA. You don't have to be super high, but a decent GPA anyway. State schools in the West, which are the most popular, either do not do any scholarships or they're very small, the scholarships they give. And I just named those schools there, okay? And unfortunately, those are the schools a lot of students want to go to. In some cases, very high cumulative, this is very important. Please check this out. In some cases, very high GPAs are required to keep institutional academic merit awards. You actually have to perform in college to keep it. So factor that into your college selection. Like, for example, George Washington University, who I know a lot about, has a very large presidential scholarship. It's about $40,000, and they give away about 300 of those. Turns out if you get a 2.5, you can keep it. Whereas Howard has a presidential award, or the equivalent of it, it's called a trustee award actually, where you can get all your tuition and half your room and board paid, but you have to be a 3.5 to keep it. So they actually factor into that award each year a certain amount of people that lose the award, and that's how they budget it. That award's going to be harder to keep because you can be a good student to get 3.2, 3.3. A lot of you think that's really low because you're 4.0 in college, high school, but it's going to be a little harder in college. You could have a good year and not be 4.0. Okay? It's just more challenging. If college was easier, everybody would do it, right? Everybody would just get A's in it, right? Factor that into your college selection, what it takes to keep the merit awards. That really needs to be factored in. I can't tell you the number of students that have lost their scholarships. For family incomes greater than $60,000, most private colleges are just not affordable unless there's a merit award, which is why I always say students get the school they earn, not the one they always want. There it is right there. Okay. Scholarship facts. Nearly all third-party scholarships cover a portion of indirect college costs. It's extremely rare that outside scholarships cover a substantial portion of direct college costs. It's very rare, okay? It's like a lot of you people feel that, scholarships will cover it. It's going to be, remember I covered that. I think I covered, please look at the video that I sent you. I explained the 1/3 rule in there. You need to look at that video and really understand that before you get your awards, actually. I just didn't have time to cover it today with so much needing to be covered. So you want to look at those videos, the 2 videos. I'll show you how to get to them later. So it's rare that outside scholarships will cover, all your direct college costs or a substantial part. And to which you'll say, well, I know people that got free rides. Let's see, how do I tell you this? What they're calling a free ride is when all their financial aid adds up to cover the school. And I'm going to show you how you could have a quote free ride, but it's not really a free ride. And whenever I've checked into those cases, that's what I found out. So free rides don't really occur that often. And I can tell you that you could have a school where all the relevant financial aid nearly covers it, or you could have some need-based aid that helps you and you're nearly fully covered. That happens. But even on an athletic scholarship, you still have to take out a direct student loan to cover your travel costs with that school when they're traveling the games, because you can't get a job. And the school won't take it that your parents will take care of it for you. They want to make sure that you have pocket money on those trips. Many who claim they're getting funded by a lot of third-party scholarships are really getting a large merit scholarship from the school and or a lot of need-based funds from the school, and there's nothing wrong with that. Listen to this, people use the term scholarship and financial aid interchangeably, okay? All the time. I got to correct that typo. It's interchangeably all the time. I just heard it last week about 4 or 5 times. I'm going to, hope I get enough scholarships. And really what they mean is financial aid, I think. Due to the above, watch for scams and companies who claim that if you pay them, they can guarantee scholarships for you or financial aid. Don't believe that. That's not true. I'm telling you in here how to get scholarships in just a minute. Please do not pay for scholarships, okay? The best way to afford college is to pick one that's affordable and cost sustainable and not depend on a bank or a large third-party scholarship, or even say for a family member. That will not happen. Make sure you pick a school that's affordable from the jump. That's my suggestion. Here's our viewpoint on scholarships. Students should apply for scholarships for sure, but they are a bit overrated given what parents hope and expect they will do many times. Direct costs are the major college costs, which is 80% to 90%. Typical scholarship is $500 to $1,000. The high ones run $1,500 to $2,000. So you can see that they're only covering a small portion of the direct cost, which is 80 to 90% of the cost for college. Conclusion, third-party scholarships are great for indirect costs like travel, technology, personal expenses, books, and nothing wrong with that, to which you'll usually say, hey, at least it's something. I agree. Not so good for direct costs, which are on the bill. Tuition, room, and board. That's the heavy lifting that's not really covered by that. The best results come with many applications and a high level of persistence where you can get scholarships. Just remember, scholarships also are usually not renewable. You just get it for the first year. The highest scholarships are awarded to students who need it least. That is so true. If a student has a GPA of 4.0 and a high SAT score, they're going to be able to get a lot of money from their schools if they pick the right schools, by the way. Some don't give any money, so I better be careful. And again, look at my video on that. But you could have a situation where students get an extremely high merit award from the college, get a whole lot of third-party scholarships, so they're based on GPA, and they have more money than they need to go to school. And a lot of times their incomes are extremely high Because in our system, it seems that the students who have the most opportunity to get ready for college and have experiences that prepare them for college many times are making or have high family incomes. This is not to say there are not great students with reduced income. It's just a pattern that, by the way, schools are becoming aware of, and a lot of schools and scholarship programs will not award scholarships to students above a certain GPA. Need-based is the second highest category, incomes of $45,000 or less. Okay, that's the second highest category of scholarship. The biggest mistake with scholarship applications, here they come. Lots of work, but a tiny bit of money. Yeah, parents, just, I know this might drive you a little crazy, and I've been there with my daughter going to college. But if you get these scholarships where you have to write 4 or 5 essays and the scholarship award is $200, I don't think that's worth the time they'll put into it. You know, so kind of look at the amount of work they expect you to do. And usually it's with those small scholarships that someone might leave in a will, and or they might leave because they're an alum of a school. It's better for them just to give it to the school to give away, but a lot of them make it a separate scholarship at their church, or they want to do. This is a good, noble thing they want to do. But I feel like if my wife and I have always felt, and we wanted to do scholarships, we'll do it someday, probably next year. But if you have $200 or $300 scholarships, I'm not going to make you do a lot of writing. I'm just going to maybe ask for some very short answers, and I'm going to look at your record and look at your recommendation. These are the biggest mistakes of scholarship applications. Very general recommendation letters. If you have someone writing a letter that writes "to whom it may concern," a lot of you think you just need to get someone like me to write you a "to whom it may concern" letter. Then you can make about 50 copies and pass them out. Man, when I'm on scholarship committees and I see that, I don't even consider those people. Your scholarship committees need to feel it's a custom written recommendation letter. When I do my recommendation letters, they're custom written to the school. So when you ask me to do one, I'm going to ask you to give me a lot of address information, due date. I'm going to ask for the website, and I'm going to write that letter tailored to the school. I'm writing 3 this week, as a matter of fact, and I'm going to tailor them to the school. One of them is a high school one from my high school, actually, a student applying to the Matha High School who's moving to DC. That's my high school. It's back there, by the way, right there. And I'm going to write the recommendation very personal about the student, mentioning their name in the letter. And I'm going to write it to the school, and I'm going to say, "Dear so-and-so, who I'm writing it to." It really helps. That's why a lot of the students that I write recommendations for, there's a pretty high approval rate, because I think I write very personal letters. Applying for scholarships due to amount, but no regard for if the student meets the qualifications. Please do not apply for scholarships and you don't meet the requirements. I know parents, a lot of times you'll be pushing your students because you're a little frustrated and they're frustrated, and you tell them, apply anyway. That's not the right approach at all. They should only apply for scholarships where they're in the acceptance window. You can call me about that if you have any questions. Then you have a lot of late applications and applications where the student misses an email that's giving them more instruction. They don't follow those instructions because they missed the email. And that's something in general, students, you want to get better at. I know in your generation, and it's good, you're more computerized and you're more into apps and you do a lot of texting and you're great with messaging and social media. Please keep those skills. It might surprise you I said that, parents. But I need you to get better at looking at email and sending emails and reading email. You should be looking at your email once or twice a day. That's what professional people do anyway. How to find a scholarship. Note, West AEEP is not a scholarship search organization. That's not one of our prime reasons, but watch this. We teach you how to find scholarships, which is what I'm doing in a minute. See our website for scholarships. After all that, you can go to our website, and we do have scholarships there. I'll try to show you when I go to it. Check your sources, ask parents and others, search company websites and utilities, things like that. Use a Google. Yep. The list literally changes every time you search on Google. Search like college scholarships 2021, put 22, sorry. This chart I used last year, sorry. It's college scholarships 2022, college scholarships, company college scholarships. Search that way. You'll find a lot of scholarships. Search 2 or 3 times per week. Only apply when you meet the scholarship requirements. There it is again. I mean, you're 2.8. Don't apply for scholarships that require 3.5. And they always have that provision in there that they're going to just throw it away. They make sure you know they don't have to give you back any of your materials, nor tell you the status or why you didn't get it. Print out and read all forms and directions. Read them carefully. Watch the due dates. Okay. And since we're on, I mentioned athletic scholarships. I'll run through this real quick because I don't know if I have any that this applies to. You're probably not going to be recruited at a large Division I school, or you would already know you're being recruited or you're signed. Lower Division I and Division II NAIA coaches usually make promises that they can't honor or they want you to wait. And that's because they're going to be making offers to a lot of students, but they're interested in a lot. They want the season to fully finish. Athletic awards and promises to play regularly are not done until late spring. So what should you do? Go through your college plans for other schools until you know what's happening with your athletic scholarships and other athletic promises. Yes, I've had students get athletic awards. I had one get a track scholarship, a young lady. She got her award in late August. So she literally had already deposited at other schools. She quickly reversed and she went to CSU Fullerton. So that could happen late. So don't get hung up in that, waiting, you don't deposit anywhere. That happens a lot. Then you end up in two-year college. Beware of accepting athletic scholarships from small, remote colleges, especially without visiting. This usually can happen in the summer after you're already set to go somewhere, then some small school comes to you and you haven't visited. Do not feel pressured to go to that school. I titled this view graph, I should have mentioned it, Games Coaches Play, and Will I Get an Athletic Scholarship? Here's some percentages of chances of playing in high school, in college if you played in high school. You can see those percentages in some cases are very low. So you want to be aware of that. But the other thing I wanted to say, look at the divisions. Look at basketball. 1% got Division I, 1% Division II, 1.4% Division III. Division III. So there's a high probability that you won't get to play. I didn't even put up the pro when you look college to pro. It's really, really highly unlikely. Now, it's good to want to dream about and shoot for that kind of stuff. And there's another chart on the NCAA side of who gets to the Olympics. These are from the NCAA website, by the way. They want athletes to have great, to get degrees and build careers. And I think sports builds character, et cetera. So they willingly share these numbers. Here's how we can help you with scholarships. Get recommendations. Okay, if you're a regular attendee of these sessions, and we actually know the student from an SAT class, virtual homework club, or the summer bridge program, otherwise someone who knows you personally is probably better, okay? I need the recommendation request 2 weeks in advance. I need the web address and the forms and the exact person to whom I'm writing the letter. I'll remind you if you come to me, I'll remind you what I need for sure. I cannot do Gates Millennium, or that one's due in a couple of weeks. I cannot do it or another scholarship nomination if your youth does not meet the income and the GPA requirement. I usually get someone coming to me because counselors like to put that out to you. And then you might have super high grades, but they want the income. They want the person to have a Pell Grant. And to get a Pell Grant, you're going to have incomes of below 40,000 or 45,000. If your family is making 100,000, 90,000, something above that, you're not eligible for Gates Millennium, and I'm sorry, I can't nominate you. And if it was easier, I mean, I have to write a book. I got to write an essay about you for 800 words. So I really don't want to write that essay unless there's a really good chance. And I need the Gates Millennium, the ones like this, 4 weeks in when I have to nominate you. I need it 4 weeks in advance. Other than that, I think 2 weeks is fine. And I do a lot of last minute ones, but try to rescue me from that. That would be great if you can rescue me from doing last minute recommendations. I'd love to write them for you. Let's see. Here's some scholarships our students got last year. Notice there are a lot of them are sororities and fraternities. I didn't put those up. I should have done that. Delta Sigma Theta, Inglewood, Los Angeles. Those I have a lot of value. They love West Angeles program, and I think I can really help you with the recommendation for those. They have websites if you want to look them up. They always like me to tell them who from our program applied. So if you do apply, whether I write the recommendation or not, you should let me write it. I need to know about that. AK of Inglewood, I have a close relationship with them. I just spoke for them about a year ago on their site on Zoom. Spoke to some of their students. American Chemical Society was one last year. KFC's are really what that one's due, I think, in 2 weeks. Department of Water and Power, SCE. These are some of the students who got scholarships or our students got scholarships from last year. All right, any questions?